What was that ruckus?
What ruckus?
I was just in my office and I heard a ruckus.
Greetings and salutations, everyone. Happy Friday. It is May 5th. For some reason, I thought it was May 4th. I think the reason for that is our radio station in the gym, which is... I don't even fucking know. It's 105.9. The River? There it is. I got it. Redfall at us. And I believe that a majority of their broadcast is pre-recorded. So this morning, I got to the gym really early. It was like 5:15. I just get started. And they're like, it's May 4th. And I'm like, what? No, that was yesterday. I had to double check. So yes, it is Friday, May 5th. It's Cinco de Mayo. Kind of ironic that I'm streaming G.I. Joe on Cinco de Mayo. But I'm going to start today's stream with a thought, right? Like, whenever I do retro, like, it doesn't appeal to everybody. But not everything is supposed to appeal to everybody. But the more people you appeal to, the better off you are. You can't appeal to everybody, but there are audiences. And, you know, when you look at retro titles, they're more or less a byproduct of their time. Like, Halo is a byproduct of its time on the original Xbox. Super Mario Brothers was a byproduct of its day on the Nintendo NES. You know, like Pitfall and Adventure, byproducts of their time on the original Atari. Needless to say, each generation has its stalwarts. But as time goes on, and as we are constantly bombarded with new releases, which is kind of crazy when you compare releases today with the digital model, as opposed to games back in the Nintendo era, Super Nintendo era, or generation, I should say. So things get buried, right? And that goes with movies, too. There's this really interesting network that we have on Comcast. It's called Screen Picks, and there's Screen Picks Action, Screen Picks Voices, and Screen Picks Westerns. And if you break it down to its most simplistic point, it's essentially like all of the B-grade, not as popular, like forgotten about action or whatever genre the channel provides. But if you sift through it, there is a lot of really good stuff. So, like, American Ninja has been on. That's a hoot. A lot of films that I would never have thought of looking up. Like, there's this excellent film with Robert De Niro and Philip Seymour Hoffman. It's called Flawless. It's directed by Joel Schumacher. He was awesome. No, not Batman and Robin and Batman Forever. I'm talking about, like, Falling Down and... Again, Flawless. It's good stuff. But if it wasn't for these retro channels, I would not have known about it. So that was crossing my mind last night. I'm like, you know, I'm like I'm more of a variety channel than a retro channel, but it needs to be said, hey, Andrew, what's up, man? How you doing? It needs to be said that there are so many games buried through time. And, you know, I don't think there's any fault to it. It's just the way it is. Like, you know, you had the NES, and the SNES comes out, and, like, you know, you move on, even though there are NES titles that stand out. And then from, like, the SNES, we moved on to, like, the N64, PlayStation. So now all of the SNES games kind of get pushed to the side. And it's a generational thing. But these arcade games... Oh, dude. Now, do you know about G.I. Joe, Anjum? Because if you look at my streaming backlog or the videos I upload to YouTube, I paired things off. So I did Ninja Turtles and Turtles in Time 2 days ago. And then I did X-Men and fuck. What did I do yesterday? Jesus Christ. Why am I'm like throwing a blank here. Sunset Riders and X-Men yesterday. So the way I'm kind of doing it is I'm like doing the more popular and then the less popular, that kind of configuration. But Ninja Turtles, I mean, those are self-explanatory. Those are like the greatest of all time. But G.I. Joe here. This is, everybody knows G.I. Joe, right? Any kid who grew up in the 80s, late 80s, early 90s, and I'm not talking about the 12-inch G.I. Joes, which is essentially the answer to Barbie for boys, right? Like, Ken had a Hawaiian shirt, sunglasses, and a Ferrari. And then, like, you know, G.I. Joe had, like, machine guns and like, grenade launchers and tanks and shit. Kung Fu Grip as well. Awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. But Konami had excellent pedigree in the arcades in the late 80s and early 90s, and then with, like, the Nintendo, they had Castlevania and a bunch of other ones. I mean, Contra as well. That's another one. I don't really like the arcade version of Contra. Dude, that'd be awesome. If you think about it, that could work with all of the accessories that Barbie has. I'm not gonna lie, man. When I was a kid and I would go over to my Uncle Dave's and like cousin Angie, my cousin Sandy, my cousin Lucy. More or less, my cousin Angie and Lucy, we were around the same age. Sandy was like 5 years older than me, and Dave was like. But I was always fascinated, and this is like old school Barbie. The accessories these toys had were insane. Like, I remember my cousin Lucy had it's the house that was featured in Toy Story 3 with the little elevator on the left-hand side with, like, the kitchen and the bedroom and the closets. And, like, they had individual utensils, cups, plates. Like, I used to play, like, the husband who would beat up Barbie when she came home. It was hilarious. But we had fun. And I remember, like, my uncle and my mom were, like, playing with dolls. I'm like, dude, I'm just having fun. You know? But, it always fascinated me. And girls had Barbies, us boys had G.I. Joes. And I'm talking about the 3 3/4 inch figures, like the classic 80s G.I. Joes. But the thing that we had more was all the guns, all the cool ninjas and soldiers and stuff, like Storm Shadow, Snake Eyes, Baroness. I love Baroness, she was hot. Destro, Cobra Commander, the Bat Troopers, and all the different permutations of, like, infantry soldiers. Like, it was crazy. Then he had, like, helicopters and jeeps and motorcycles and, like, massive play sets that were, like, weaponized vehicles, you know? But I always looked at it as having fun. Like, I was like, oh yeah, Barbie is great. No, I just really appreciated all of the accessories. And that's what I love about older action figures, is all of the accessories. And, you know, looking at G.I. Joes as toys, yes, we grew up with that stuff. We're familiar with them. But then you look at, like, the cartoon, which all the toys came from. And then you look at a lot of the video games. Outside of the well-known G.I. Joe NES game, the sequel Atlantis Factor wasn't as good. And then there was, like, when they tried to revitalize it in the early 2000s with, like, Channing Tatum and all that, like, those weren't very good. Those games are not very good. This one right here, I'll comment on that in a second. This one right here truly encapsulates what G.I. Joe is all about. Because it takes all of the enemies we know, all of the main villains we know, all of the vehicles, essentially all the playsets, and it turns it against you. And you play as 4 of the main characters. It's Snake Eyes, Duke, Scarlet, and Roadblock. And it's awesome. You see, Beast Wars I didn't like. I liked Transformers back when it was cars versus planes. If you look at the original version of Transformers, that's all it was. You had accessory Transformers and all that, like Periscope and, you know, Megatron was a gun and all that stuff. They would not do that today. And, like, Soundwave was the tape recorder, and, like, his chest opened up and, like, the cassettes would turn into, like, a puma and a pterodactyl and all that. Soundwave is my favorite. I fucking love it. But the original Transformers, like Generation 1, Generation 2 was okay. They brought that forward with the iconic and still very good 1980s Transformers movie. But Generation 1 Transformers is what I will always remember Transformers as. Michael Bay movies, Beast Wars, I could never get into Beast Wars. Oh, dude, Starscream he was that sniveling, slimy, like, he was always in it for himself, right? Galvatron and Soundwave are my 2 favorites. And then, of course, Megatron and Optimus Prime, right? But, like, Rodimus Prime and all that stuff, it was okay. But, you know, going back to G.I. Joe, like, you know, obviously when I was a kid, you know, my grandmother and everybody bought me stuff. I don't remember how much they were, but looking at those pamphlets with all of the accessories, just the way they laid them out, like they made it look like your toys were on a battlefield. It's fucking awesome. I remember, before we get started, one last thing. I remember that there was this, it was like a Land Rover, and I think it was about maybe 1.5 foot long by like maybe 8 inches wide. And it was awesome because it opened up. I think it was like an ICBM vehicle or something like that. But it opened up and it was like a base of operations for G.I. Joe. Stigma 6, yeah, it's, again, man, as I've said over and over with new gaming sensibilities versus old gaming sensibilities, even with films and everything, old school stuff we grew up with, that's all about the idea and going with it. Again, I said this yesterday verbatim. Jim Cameron sat down with a producer and he's like, look, I had this excellent dream. It's like a fever dream. I wasn't feeling well when I was directing Piranha 2. And there was this like chrome skeleton that came from the future through fire to try and kill me. And I have this script, I have this great idea. And the person he was talking to was like, you know what, that's a great idea. Let's roll with it. Here's your budget, go for it. And then he proved himself. And then he did the same thing with Aliens. Hey, I have this great idea for a sequel. I swear on a stack of Bible books and I'll make it good. Verbatim Jim Cameron. The Abyss, he's like, hey, I have this really good idea. Now you have a committee with checklists, bullet points, and analytics. Some good can come from that, but it's not the same. And, you know, you look at G.I. Joe in that matter. The original G.I. Joe is this thing, but as they tried to progress, they're like, well, this might work. This is what the kids like, right? That's not how it goes, man. And that's why all of this old school stuff still holds up incredibly well by today's standards. It's timeless. And again, the sprite style, the art direction that they were working with back in the day is truly timeless. That's why Nintendo NES games and, oh my god. Who would star as Bomberman? Cool if Arnold Schwarzenegger Bomberman. What's up, Mira? We got a group today. So, I've been doing retro for this week. We did Ninja Turtles, both games, 2 days ago. We did Sunset Riders and X-Men yesterday. Today, we're going for G.I. Joe and the Simpsons Arcade. And one thing I always enjoy doing when I do these multiplayer games is I like to do 4-player simultaneous play. And you'll see, all I do is I map all 4-player controls to the one controller. I hook this up. This works perfectly fine. I had some issues with Xbox controllers connecting to PC, namely the Elite controller here. I guess updating it after like a few minutes, you have the paddles on the back there. After a couple of minutes, the controller just shuts off, which is weird. And a lot of people online are saying use a controller that is wired with the battery compartment in the back. So you don't have to update it and the computer will recognize it. Anyway, Hotline Miami 1 or 2. All right, so I need to do a sound check here because I realized that my audio for X-Men was really low yesterday. So let's see what happens here. I'm going to let a track mode play. And Anjum, this is just for you. This is essential arcade gaming. Especially if you're a G.I. Joe fan. Because not too many people know about this game. Anjum does not, and he's a huge Konami fan. Terrorism. Okay, I'm going to turn this up a little bit. You will never have a video game today start off with this. Terrorism. And it's old school Cobra Commander. This is awesome. And if you're a fan of all of the toys that we grew up with, you will instantly recognize everything the game throws at you. And one thing I will say, the sprite scaling in this is fan-fucking-tastic, dude. Keep in mind, this entire thing is all sprites when we get into the thick of it. Yo, Joe! Oh my god, dude, a Konami He-Man side-scrolling game? Get on that. Dude, a Hotline Miami anime series would be amazing. They got the classic blaster sound effects. Don't make me mad! Peace. Duke. Conrad Hauser. Ah! Bravery. Scarlet. Not Scarlett Johansson, but Scarlet. Righteousness. Roadblock. I'm smash these fools up. It's Mr. T. Marvin Hinton. And of course, everyone's favorite. Yeah, baby. Dude, I'm gonna pause it right there. Okay, so I just need to centralize everything here. All right, so this is what I do. Oh, dude. This is just like a gold mine of just... It's back. Just they tried to do the Snake Eyes movie. It's just like, no, dude. No, he works better when he's part of a group. So. Okay, that's weird. Hold on. Okay, so. Let's see here. Input this machine. 4 players start. 5, 6, 7. Okay.
Mission 1.
Dude, I'm not gonna skip anything. They're actually murdering people in this. Okay. Okay, so hold on one second. So you'll see here, okay? Player 1, player 2, player 3, and player 4 are all mapped to the same controller. Okay? And then what we do here to keep things fun is we'll go to cheats. Well, remember, nobody ever died in the original G.I. Joe cartoon. Everybody just, like, planes blew up, parachutes would come out, people would get injured or knocked out. Nobody ever died. This puts it all to rest. And it's actually kind of cool. Okay. So, all we do is we just line up. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. We got to do one more thing. It's funny how auto-fire is considered cheating. I hope this doesn't crash the game, because this actually happened with Ninja Turtles the other day. Okay. So now, all we do is we just line up all of the cursors, and we just go to town. Yeah, dude, it's crazy. It's awesome. We'll even do this with the Simpsons. I did it with Ninja Turtles, X-Men, Sunset Riders. It's really, really cool, man. It makes it a lot more fun, because when was the last time you ever played a multiplayer arcade game? You just play with yourself. I mean that sincerely. You just blow everything up. But notice how everything is interactive, and you're going to notice all of the Cobra vehicles and enemies that we grew up with as kids, idolizing the toys. You just blow it all to hell. And you'll notice, too, the background, it keeps getting larger and larger as we scroll forward to it. So this is all done with sprite scaling. And this game does a very good job with depth of field. This is really good. I only caught this once out in the wild. At our local Chucky Cheese here in West Haven. It was like, I saw it once when I was a kid. I was like 13 or 14. I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. You could even shoot the towers down. You could blow up the thing over there. Green, those green things over there, we got some bats. Those green barrels are always like power-ups and stuff. And of course, Tomac and Kamat. These guys are awesome. It's now or never. It's now or They were awesome. Damn! Murder in the name of the America! It's so cool how, like, the jets just whiz on by, dude. This is awesome. And again, it's like, this is all sprite-based. So yes, it's a byproduct of its time, but this will always age well. I mean, this is, what, 91 or something, I think? Dude, well, I mean, will they? Machine information. This is 1992. This is 31 years old, dude. So 2002, 2012, 2022, 2023. This is 31 years old. That's insane. And this never saw any type of release at all. Like, this was strictly arcade. They never ported this to anything. In all honesty, I don't think consoles back in the day would be able to handle this. Like, this is all, like, massive sprite scaling here. I'm trying not to just do this, so you can at least see what's going on. Because I could just melt everything. But imagine, like, your younger self walking into an arcade and seeing this. That's a toy I never had coming up. Blow up the base there. I love how the bats fall apart, the Battle Android Troopers. And of course the classic blaster sound. I wonder how they got that sound, how the Foley guys created that. That's pretty cool. Yeah, you can see the bats flying apart. Blow that up. Just putting Cobra out of business today. But not even Konami, just reputable, like, the teams who are capable with the beat-em-up genre. Like, the team who did Streets of Rage 4, dude. Imagine them doing, like, a He-Man beat-em-up. Oh my god. Or Thundercats. Or, like, Thundercats cross He-Man. That'd be amazing. Must destroy everything! I like how we can shoot the guys out of the tower or shoot the tower down. Violence, really? Violent Storm just sounds awesome. But it blows my mind, again, the way they use sprite scaling is a means to give depth and just overall sense of movement. Like, this is so cool. So Metamorphic Force and Violent Storm, are those arcade games or are those like console specifics? Metalhead. Don't get me mad! I like the guys with the helicopter backpacks. Like, are you serious, dude? That's not gonna do anything. Mom, is Dad coming home? No, I'm sorry, son. G.I. Joe came to town, and they blew his face off. We'll get you another, Dad. It's okay. So one thing is that if you don't have rapid fire, you have to constantly tap the shoot button, and that is a pain in the ass. You lose it whenever you get hit. Oh shit. He just threw a German hand grenade at me. Ooh. What genre are they? Like side-scrolling beat-em-up shooters? Weren't you the one who told me about Wild Arms, or what's the ooh. Hold on a second. Hold on a second. I am gonna look these up. Let's see here. Metamorphic. Of course. Ooh. Ooh. Okay, I'm saving these Google searches here. And Violent Storm. That just sounds good. It's a storm that is violent. Ooh. That is so like, oh my god. Biorento Sutomu. That's the Japanese namesake. I am saving these, my friend, and I'm going to look into them. All right. So now I will say, this is, of course, through MAME. Obviously, it's the only way we could enjoy this. HLSL, by the way, if you use MAME, turn it on. It gives that, like, ghosting that CRT monitors are known for. So you'll see how it's paused now. With the Cobra doors sliding open, you'll see there's a little bit of ghosting on the screen from the doors going outward, which makes a huge difference. But there's, like, I would say arcade game emulation is like 99.9% accurate. There are a few inconsistencies, and one of them here, you'll see, we're going down an elevator, right? It's cool, because we ran all the way towards that base, and now we're going in it and going downward. It's an air base. So you'll notice there's a few graphical hiccups, but otherwise it runs fine. It's the only stage that has that. And I think there's some, when we fight the Baroness atop her massive, like, warbird, you'll find that there's a little bit of hiccups, but those are the only two that I could pick out from what I remember from the arcade game. The actual legit, like, arcade cabinet, which I saw once in my life, and that's it. Oh, it's the weapons plant, sorry. So yeah, you'll see now the beams here will be a little weird. Yeah, they disappear. It's just, it's gonna happen. But hey, I would rather have a slight inconsistency than not being able to enjoy this at all. And you can actually blow the scaffolding up. Look at all that slowdown. Those helicopter backpacks are a bad idea, Cobra. Just want to put that out. I know, dude, it's just, it fully emulates everything, and that's amazing. Like, what? Simpsons had some, no. X-Men had some slowdown. As did Sunset Riders, with all 4 characters being used at once. I love it. And this notion came to me randomly. Like, I was playing Alien vs. Predator, which is my favorite arcade game of all time, number 1. Actually, no, sorry. Tekken Tag Tournament is number 1. Alien vs. Predator is number 2. And I was like, wait a minute. Hold on a second. This is a 3-player game. What if I just map all of the players to this one controller? So I did it, and I'm like, oh my god, this is insane. Obviously, the simpler the game, the better. Like G.I. Joe here, it's the same thing for everybody. You move, you shoot rockets. But like games with a little more dynamism, like Ninja Turtles with each turtle's special moves, Alien vs. Predator, most notably. Dude, it's so good. It's fucking chef's kiss. And that will always be the best arcade side-scrolling beat-em-up out there. It plays like a fighting game. And also what I've noticed throughout years and years and years of playing it, Predator Hunter, by the way. Predator Hunter is the best, most unbalanced character in a game. He could clear the entire screen. I've beaten it on very hard with him using like 4 credits or 4 lives. But you have like diagonal attacks, you have tap attacks, you have charge attacks. Kurosawa plays like Chun-Li, man. She has a charge attack, she has like a dash attack. It's crazy. She is the most versatile. Dutch Schaefer, Arnold's character, plays more like Mike Hager. So like he could pick up anything and whack people over the head with it. and then you have the Predator variants. But if you play that, like, you can play both Predators, and that's fine. But if you have 3 players playing at the same time on your controller, like, it could get hard to manage. So I play that one solo. But like the Simpsons, G.I. Joe, all the Konami stuff, and like all the old school Capcom stuff, well, it was originally based off of the script that Fox wrote, and they commissioned Capcom to do a game tie-in, but the film was canceled, and Capcom released it standalone. It's like, dude, and if you read any retro take or any retro site write-up on Alien vs. Predator, they will always say it's like the best of the best. Because Capcom took all they learned throughout all the years of making side-scrolling beat-em-ups through like Cyberbots, Captain Commando, Final Fight. Final Fight is rough, but it's first of its kind, right? Captain Commando as well. And they took all the best aspects of the 2D side-scrolling genre and they just put it in Alien vs. Predator. Like Dungeons and Dragons is very good with its branching paths, but Alien vs. Predator is strictly combat-focused as the genre, as the Alien films and the Predator films are. But like, you know, anything more simplistic, going back to G.I. Joe, X-Men, you could have simultaneous players on one controller. And you could, like, just move everybody around. Like, I just aligned a cursor, and I just hold the shoot button. Got him. Oh, dude, the missiles go off into the background. That's awesome. Oh, no, I'm shot. It doesn't matter. Imagine if, like, somebody modded this where everything gets dismembered. It's the Baroness, dude. So you'll see here,
I can't wait to see
the foreground is a little weird.
It's showtime.
Dude, I love the Baroness. She's awesome. Destro as well. We face him, too. It's really cool. You see, I don't know. Like, April is like your cool aunt. You're like, yeah, she's cool. Everyone's like, dude, your aunt's hot. It's like, yeah, I guess. But Baroness is like, yeah, dude, Baroness is awesome. Like, I actually picked up all of the G.I. Joe figure reissues, and I have, like, all of the mainstays. All the mainstays. I have the 4 characters here, like, your basic soldiers and all that, Storm Shadow, Snake Eyes, of course. You gotta have Snake Eyes here. Come on. You gotta have... Oh, shit. But, dude, just keep in mind that that Warbird is, like, a multitude of sprites at the same time. It's fucking awesome. I just wish the floor was properly emulated, whatever. I think it's supposed to be, like, a metal floor or something. It's just not rendering. Ah! Yeah, dude, the slowdown with 4 bombs at once. Oh my god, dude. One thing I noticed, and I remember when Thundercats was airing on television, I was in like the 2nd grade. I remember watching it. And what's the first thing I noticed? Because I think it was the pilot episode where they're leaving Thundera. They're setting it up because Thundera was destroyed and they go on a time warp. I never knew that all of the characters grew up and Lion-O aged physically, but he's still a kid. So they're all like, you know, it's like coming of age story, right? I never knew that. It's actually pretty cool. But the first thing I noticed was everybody was naked. Like, they were naked. And like, Chitara was technically, she had, like, lines drawn on for, like, you know, a pair of underwear. But I'm like 7 years old. I'm like, she's naked. And that's awesome. Actually, what, in kindergarten, it's not, like, anything sexual. Like, you know, we're dudes and we're going out on a date. We're like, yeah, I want to get some, right? I hope I get laid today. you're playing the game. But when I was a kid, I was like in kindergarten, I liked this girl, Yasumi. You know, yes, exactly. But I liked this kid in kindergarten. She was cute. And I was like, hey, come sit next to me. I'll never forget. Like, we were sitting in a circle. This is the first day of kindergarten. I remember this. We were sitting in a circle, and there was a spot next to me, and I looked at her. I'm like, ooh, sit next to me. And she's like, ew. Yeah, I mean, you know, we were 5, 6 years old, right? But yeah, I had a thing for the girls in a totally platonic manner when I was a young kid. But that's the first thing I noticed. I noticed Chitara had no top on. I'm like, huh, that's kind of cool. Yeah, dude, look at the slowdown. Oh my god. This is crazy. And also note how the Warbird's starting to fall apart. Yeah, you can see we gotta line up our cursors. Okay, there we go. Yeah, so that's what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be the girders there. Dude, this is just, on a technical level, this is really impressive. Considering the guns start shooting at us. Considering what Konami was working with back in the day. There we go. Take that, evil! Yo, Joe! America! When it stutters like that, it's because I'm taking screenshots. That was only mission 1? Cobra Commander threatens to launch powerful missiles targeted all over the world unless G.I. Joe targets lay down its arms. Okay, that's kind of, I think that's a typo. But dude, that is my favorite iteration of Cobra Commander. I remember he had the silver face, and the game actually represents both of them. But that is classic Cobra Commander to me. And his voice, he had that like he kind of. I wouldn't be surprised if the same voice actor who did Starscream did Cobra Commander. I think that actually might be the case. Yeah. And what blows my mind as well, we're going into Transformers territory for a second. Peter Cullen, of course, Optimus Prime, did all of the Predator creature sounds. And there's a video on him on YouTube that was documented where he's like, I remember going to Fox and like I think he had like bronchitis or something, or like he smoked too much or something where his like throat was raw. And they're like, we want you to record for this creature. And he's like, look, I will record for you, but I need to know what it looks like. So they're like, all right. So I think they brought him across the sound stage or something with production. And they showed him footage and he's like, oh, and they're like, okay, start doing some sound effects. Like the clicks, I think the clicks were Foley work, but all of the Predator, like creature, like grumbles and clicks and everything are from Peter Cullen himself, like deep in his throat. He's like, I reached in deep and I just blurted out all this shit. And like everybody was really impressed. Look it up. Like there's an interview of him at like some type of like convention where he gets into it. And the first time I saw that, like my head exploded. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? That's crazy. Oh, hey, it's Alderaan from Star Wars. G.I. Joe tries its best to discover Cobra's secret military base to stop them from launching their missiles. Oh, dude, that was a playset. I always wanted that thing. It was like, I think it was like knee big. That's the beauty of this game. Everything G.I. Joe is represented here. All right, line them up. Yeah, right? Look at the size of... You can even shoot the trees down, dude. How cool is that? And there's guys hiding in the fucking bushes and everything. This is crazy. Deforestation. Yo, Joe! Enemy soldier genocide. Yo, Joe! Dude, it's so good, is it not? This is fucking awesome. I play this like 3 or 4 times a year because it's just so good. I mean, seriously, considering the hardware limitations at the time, and if you look at the Ninja Turtles, the original Ninja Turtles, and the X-Men arcade game, they share the same like structure. I believe both games borrowed the same hardware. It's like Capcom CPS2 and CPS1 and CPS2. And CPS3. So like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, which is fantastic, by the way. Street Fighter 3, those are CPS. Street Fighter 2, Alien vs. Predator, those are CPS2 games. Like Final Fight and Captain Commando are CPS1 games. where it was a shared hardware that wasn't what's the word I'm looking for? It wasn't proprietary. So I believe that I could be wrong on this, but just from playing them and being familiar with them, Sunset Riders, the original Ninja Turtles, X-Men, and this feel like they were all part of the same family of hardware. Now remember, side-scrolling beat-em-ups. Yeah, but it has that weird chibi style. I don't know how I feel about that. Revenge of the Shredder looks good. I want to get my hands on that some. I want to try that out. But, I mean, Turtles in Time, dude, like, that's all you need. The SNES conversion is better gameplay-wise, but the arcade version is still the way to go. What was I saying? But considering the fact that G.I. Joe here shares the same hardware as the side-scrolling stalwarts that we're used to, and instead it uses scaling and rotation instead of side-scrolling with layers, it's a technical achievement, man. Like, this, it's dated for when it was released, but you got to admit, with just using 2D sprites with this level of depth and scrolling and scaling, it's crazy. And the soundtrack is awesome, too. Like, this is just fucking... Oh, we can blow up the stump? Jesus Christ! Whoa, flamethrower, guys. What is this, Nam? I would rather play this than go to Vietnam, dude. We have continues and power-ups. Lieutenant, that dumb bitch! You can even shoot the sandbags. And I believe there's guides in some of the trees. Dude, they have, whoa, some of the, get back. Some of the details, like, it's so refreshing to be surprised by this. Cobra, it's not that you're poorly trained, it's just how could you deal with this? Yeah, dude, there's just so much layering going on. This is awesome. Yeah, right. They can't hit the broadside of a barn. There's actually some fan art somebody did where Mr. Meeseeks are training stormtroopers how to shoot, and they're just getting stressed out like the cartoon episode. It's great. So I think there's some issue here with sprites. It's very light because it's supposed to be a swamp, but dude. Your days are numbered. Oh, it's Major Blood. I thought it was Destro. Destro's next. Oh, shit. Major Blood is dead. Dude, yeah. Major Blood. Are you positive? No, I'm actually A negative. Yeah, dude, look at the rotation and scaling on this, man. This is so cool. I remember seeing kids play this in the arcade. Yo, Joe! Murder! Mommy, what'd you do today? I went to work. I blew up an entire battalion of enemies, and I annihilated a military base. How was your day? I watched cartoons. So you can see this comes up from the swamp. And I love how you see them drop their shields, too. There's so many cool details here. I punched a dude in the dick. It was pretty cool. And I slit some guy's throat. Ah, shit, he stabbed me. And another thing, too, that's great about these games is there's only so much you could, Jesus Christ, relay through sprite work. Like, there's a lot left to your imagination. So that's why when you talk to kids, or those of us who were kids back in the day that grew up with this, like, we always speak about it in a very grandiose like, it sounds better than it actually is. But remember, like, we were kids when we played this stuff, so we're like, whoa, everything's so big and colorful and vibrant. Like, that's one of the, like, the beauties of sprite-based gaming as a whole. Like, even games today, like, you look at Hyper Light Drifter, like, that would be impossible back in the day, unless if there were some serious concessions. I would love to see somebody code Hyper Light Drifter for the SNES. It would essentially be, you know, what? A Link to the Past, but still. But there's something to be said about this classic style that we grew up with. It will stick with us forever, and it's timeless. I mean, you could put this next to, like, an indie sprite-based release from today, and it still holds up. But also, too, like, back in the day, games were meant to last. Now we consume content. As much as I love Destiny 2, like, once season of Defiance is over, it's over. Like, you know, we can still play, you know, with some of the weapons and armor sets and stuff like that, but, like, trying to experience that season again, we cannot. We could play, like, Europa, and we can still go there, but all the stuff that was based on Europa seasonal is gone. So, yes, I'm a huge Destiny fan. I love Destiny to pieces. It's the most played game I've ever gotten into. It's my hobby. But, yes, we could still enjoy the moon, and we could still enjoy the Cosmodrome, which is very nostalgic at this point. We cannot enjoy the content it provides. And that's where I'm kind of at an impasse with gaming today. Yes, technology has come a long way, and graphics are near real at this point, if you've seen those Unreal 5 videos. But it's content that we quickly ravage through and consume, which is another reason why we forget about all of these classics, because we are just bombarded left and right with consumable stuff that we just eat through. And we're like, what's next? And we don't sit and savor. There are a few things that we still can savor today, but it's few and far in between. As opposed to Super Metroid, Contra 3 The Alien Wars, G.I. Joe the arcade game. Like, we're having a hoot with this, and this is 31 years old. That's crazy to me. Like, we can still go back and play, like, Alien vs. Predator and Donkey Kong Country, and love it more than 5 things combined today. This is awesome, dude. The lights turned on. Oh my god, this is awesome. And we can shoot the stalactites. Get out of my way, guys. This is awesome. And we can use the stalactites to kill enemies. And it's so satisfying too, man. Yeah, dude, we're crushing Cobra soldiers with, like, rock formations. This is incredible. I've never really, like, thought of doing that. All these years later, I'm still figuring things out. This is incredible. It's so just primally satisfying. Like, this game scratches the itch of that lizard part of your brain. Or, like, destruction is a form of creativity. Ah, flamethrower! Ah, he made it. Once we run past him, he's just like, alright, I'm going home. I made it. Come on, Scarlet, walk it off, walk it off. Oh, dude, I don't know. That's a good fucking question. That is a really fucking question. I think that every conceivable Transformer and Gundam would battle it to the death. And the only two that would remain would be the RX-78 and Optimus Prime. And they would form a truce. And Transformers Gundam would be born. That's what would happen. That's what would happen. Now, I wish I could move everything aside. I have... Actually, you know what? Hold on 1 second. I'm actually just going to turn the webcam off. I have to show you this. I have to show you this. Hold on. Hold on a second. I forget what year this came out. I think this is early 2000s. Okay? Dude, the Zion Decepticon Alliance versus the Autobot Federation. We're writing this as it goes. Come on, people. All right, let me turn the camera back on. Now, I got this, of all places, at Funcoland, and I think it was about $50. Dude. This is heavy. This is, before showing you what it is, I think you get the idea of what it's going to be. The legs and the chest are fully die-cast. The wheels are rubber, and the everything else is plastic. But this thing here is incredible. This is fucking cool, and you can see how big this is. This is, I think, about 13.5 inches. And there's a button on the back of, I don't know, but I don't think, yeah, you can see that you can make him talk. There's also a button on his back here, a little tab that allows you to turn on the Allspark, which opens up. And you can see the Allspark is in there. And that, you can actually pull it apart, and it lights up. You take it out and everything. And this fully transforms into the truck. This is at least 7.5 pounds. This thing is fucking cool. I actually need to put him back where he belongs, so I'm just going to shut off the webcam. But I have the perfect grade RX-78 Gundam, which is essentially the exact same size as this. And it's, I'd say, 4 pounds. But I'm going to put him away. And we'll continue. With G.I. Joe. Yeah, dude, that is G.I. Joe. Who G.I. Joe crossover with? Is he, you think, I'm trying to think. Ooh, you know what would be really cool? This is a deep cut, but it's also a Marvel prop. If the main cast, like the main cast of characters, like not just like, you know, Back Trooper, infantry parachute guy, and jet fighter pilot, but like, you know, Cobra Commander and like Destro hatches a plot to take over the world, and it involves time travel. And this, I just thought this up on the spot. So they're about to start the machine because Destro's idea, because Destro's the arms dealer, he gets shit done. So Destro, Baroness, Cobra Commander, and like a bunch of the bad guys here, Storm Shadow, because we need a ninja. They're going to go back in time to thwart G.I. Joe before it starts. So full world domination. And as they're about to turn it on, G.I. Joe busts in. So the 4 characters here, Snake Eyes, Roadblock, Duke, and Scarlett Johansson. And like, you know, a bunch of other guys, I can't remember their names. They get into a fight, and it throws them back in time to when Dino Riders. Because if you think about it, Dino Riders would work because it was weaponizing dinosaurs, right? So, Dino Riders cross G.I. Joe. Do it. They could do a comic on that. It'd be fucking phenomenal. Dude, it was part of the Marvel Action Universe. They had, I forget which cartoons it was, but I know for a fact it was, because my aunt used to record them for me, and I told her, like, just record RoboCop, please, because I idolize RoboCop. My #1 favorite film of all time. I actually have the Sideshow collectibles of him. But she recorded like 2 full blocks of Marvel Action Universe early on a Saturday morning. It aired at like 8 o'clock. And I was always up late playing video games. And she would stay up late with me. But she would wake up early and record shit on a VCR. And I remember it was Spider-Man, which was not very... I was not interested in that at all. And then there was Dino Riders. And then there was RoboCop. And I was talking about this yesterday. I'll get to that in a second. I was talking about this yesterday. The Pride of the X-Men pilot episode is what the arcade game is based off of. Canadian Wolverine, Kitty Pryde, old school Charles Xavier, Juggernaut, Magneto, Asteroid M, etc., right? But Dino Riders was part of that block. And it was actually really good. I remember getting into it a bit. Like, the bad guy Krulos, like, he fit like a Tyrannosaurus Rex with, like, cannons and shit. Oh, it was so good. But the RoboCop Terminator crossover was incredible. I never read it, but I talked to a lot of people who did, and they explained the story to me, and it was mind-blowing. Like, the only reason RoboCop won is because he had, like, the heart of a human, or the mind of a human, and he rebuilt himself in a dark future. But Dino Riders, G.I. Joe would be incredible. Of course, the most common thing people would say is Thundercats He-Man, which... I have all 6 seasons of the original cartoon on a hard drive over here. And those are timeless. The first 3 seasons are incredible. I actually said this yesterday when they introduced Mr. Sinister and kind of like offshoot villains. It was, but like the first 3 seasons until Days of the Future Past cartoon. Oh my God, Street Sharks. Street Sharks, Ninja Turtles. Do it, Konami. But, yeah, X-Men, the first 3 seasons were the best. The pilot episode was insane. Night of the Sentinels. Jubilee getting attacked by Sentinels in a mall. All right, let's continue with this. Yeah. This is Deathstroke. Now you can see we're submerged in, like... Dude, this sounds so good. Street Sharks, Wildcats, Samurai Pizza Cats. Deathstroke's so cool. Oh, the Frogmen, dude. Oh my God. Who thought that guys with helicopter backpacks would work? Dude, yes he does. Oh my God. But Deathstroke, like, he's just fucking badass, man. His design is so cool. He's a badass arms dealer who wears, like, an iron mask. Like, that's incredible. I think the reason he wears that is his face is burnt or disfigured or something. They explained that a bit in the cartoon. Back when actual kids' cartoons had really, like, they were adult central stories that appealed to kids. I think secretly all the producers from cartoons back in the 80s, like, wrote them for themselves. Because you watch cartoons today, like, what do kids got today? Paw Patrol, fucking Blue's Clues, like Dora the Explorer, Peppa Pig, like, what did we have in the 80s? Thundercats, where Chitara was naked in the first episode. Well, nearly naked. G.I. Joe. Transformers, Ninja Turtles, yeah, RoboCop cartoon. I'm like Dino Riders. I mean, there was like Care Bears and My Little Pony, but that's neither here nor there. Okay, dude, like I understand. I understand some of the reasoning behind it, which I could care less to get into. I honestly don't give. I don't know. It was just a completely different day and age, And I don't want to sound like a codger, like Uncle Si, like, get on my knee, kid, I'll tell you a story. It was amazing. While I sip this bottle of Jack Daniels and smoke a cigar. Talk about the snow going uphill both ways to school. No. But it was different. It really was. And I think everybody from that generation will say that. But growing up, SWAT kids, I kind of remember that. Remember Batman, the animated series? That's another thing we grew up with. And I remember as a kid, okay? I grew up just consuming the shit out of RoboCop. And SWAT kids. Kids with fly swatters. We're the SWAT kids! And they get blown up by G.I. Joe. That's the first and only episode. It's like 10 seconds long. The kids show up, they kick down the front door. G.I. Joe's like G.I. Joe turns and like, how'd you do that? Like, we don't know, but we're a SWAT kid. Boom! They're just blowing up with a grenade launcher. That's it. Pilot episode's over. Never seen of again. But, you know, growing up and seeing, like, I remember, actually not talking about RoboCop, but I remember seeing Predator for the first time. I can't remember why we were at my uncle's farm. I think it was a birthday party or something. But it was in my uncle's apartment when he lived in Derby by us. Derby, Connecticut. I actually remember exactly where it is. Very picturesque memory. And I remember I was seated on like the love seat or the couch with my cousin Sergio, and he just had Predator playing in the background. And I started paying attention to it, and it was the scene where they set up the trap with the net and everything. And, you know, Arnold sneaks out, and the Predator gets caught, and he shoots the laser like crazy, and then he jumps to the tree, and Carl Weathers' character looks up. I'm getting goosebumps talking about this. And there's that medium frame shot of the tree with the branch on the side, and the Predator swings down cloaked, and he decloaks for that 2 seconds. And I was like, and I remember when we left, I'm like, Uncle Donald, can I borrow this? He goes, yeah, keep it as long as you want, I don't care. Dude. And those are the styles of movies I grew up with. But coincidentally, and I don't know if this was by design or this is just pure happenstance, I think it's a combination of the two. But I always liked the harder edge, more violent, darker, but well-written approach. That's another thing too. I always took note of when like something was intriguing. Like RoboCop, even though it was way over my head, I mean, I was like 8 when I saw that. That movie freaked the fuck out of me, dude. When they murdered Murphy, I'm like, oh my God, they filmed people dying? Like, why would they do that? Oh my God, poor guy. I'm a kid. Nobody told me that. I had to figure all this out. But there was a good story there that I didn't really realize until later. But it I don't know. I wouldn't say like it moved me, but it just, I always gravitated to that. And Predator, it's a super simple story, but it's very well done. And then like Die Hard, I remember the first time I saw Die Hard, I'm like, whoa. It was violent, it was edgy, but it was good. You know? And I always loved like the satirical, like cerebral approach to stuff. Because if you break RoboCop down, yeah, it's an action film with a guy in a cool suit and he murders people. Guy gets shot in the dick, you know, he's trying to rape a chick. That's totally poetic, by the way. You see, the Never-Ending Story, I was watching that, I'm like, this dog looks stupid. And I never saw Dark Crystal. But again, I always liked the darker, foreboding, edgy, but like cerebral approach. That's why I love the Terminator, dude. Like, I remember the first time I saw the Terminator, I'm like, shit. Like, again, it was like a horror film. It was a slasher film with guns, essentially. And even Terminator 2, like, I idolized that film. I saw that in a theater when I was 10 years old. But, you know, comparing things to today, again, it was a completely different day and age. And I think there was a lot more creativity due to limitation and people were trying new things. And now it's just metrics. You still have a few exceptions out there, but it just doesn't compare to today, dude. Or things today do not compare to, like, yesterday. You know? Dude, Gremlins, like, that's a good film. Like, Gremlins 2 even. Gremlins 2 is awesome. Severely underrated. But, Gremlins, like, you watch it now, and it doesn't know what it wants to be. Like, it's very disjointed in its tone. Like, it's horror, it's comedy, it's slapstick, it's violent. Like, it goes all throughout. I mean, Joe Dante did a lot of good work. But, yeah, like, Gremlins, like, writing-wise, it's inconsistent, but stylistically, dude, all those practical effects is like, whoa, it's aged very well. I mean, that's a Christmas film. A lot of people forget about that. That's a Christmas film. Die Hard is a Christmas film. Okay? Die Hard is a Christmas film. Lethal Weapon is a film that takes place around Christmas. Christmas Story is totally Christmas. Die Hard, by design, is a Christmas film. The score, the original score, I think Alan Silvestri, who was responsible for Predator, Back to the Future, like all of his scores sound kind of the same. It's the Alan Silvestri sound. Kind of like, you know, John Williams. I mean, he's very, what's the word I'm looking for? He has a wide range in his entire career, but you know that's John Williams, and you know when it's Alan Silvestri. I think it's Alan Silvestri. I could be wrong. But anyway, the person who composed Die Hard's original score, it's mostly like Jingle Bells and like Christmas tunes. Die Hard is a Christmas film. Everybody who thinks it's not is wrong. It's an action film that just happens to be a Christmas film. Oh, dude, check out the boats. That's so cool. Dude, this is fucking incredibly cool. He would have spent like $5 already. And I love how the boss battles are like multi-tiered. I think there's supposed to be like a translucent sprites over because we're supposed to be in like a bog right. So yeah, again, there's some slight inconsistencies. He's flashing red! And I believe when Destro... like, you could see him without his mask. Dude. How cool is that? Oh, that's so cool. I'm not Joe! 3D render. I don't think that was ever a playset. I could be wrong. Look at those 3D pre-rendered sprites. Okay, I'm sorry, but I think this is Cobra kind of flexing how endowed he is. Because if you Photoshop that and move it over just a little bit, like, look at my size, G.I. Joe. Finally, Cobra Commander launches the missile battleship to conquer the world. The final battle between G.I. Joe and Cobra starts now. Expect to come next. The game is not over yet.
The final battle.
The final battle. Dude, this is so fucking cool. Again, the scaling and rotation here is just... it's so fucking well done, man. Oh, it's really cool. Konami was known for repeat bosses, but in this case, they're done very well. That guy's like, oh, shit. But there's so much going on, and everything is interactive, dude. This is so cool. Oops. Damn. I like how there's tank. Oh god, that would be a crossover. I could see the Care Bears riding My Little Ponies into battle. I used to like the Care Bears when I was a kid. I was more of a Bernstein Bears kid. It was actually the Berenstein Bears, but everybody calls them the Bernstein Bears. My favorite story was A Spooky Old Tree. I read that to death. That and Dr. Seuss I used to read a lot of when I was a kid. Fuck it! Oh, damn, dude! Getting swarmed! God, I could only imagine the logistics behind it. The coding, all the different sprite pieces. I will say, the only fantastic Michael Bay film that I absolutely love, even though Will Smith is just thinking of him as irritating for what he did. I mean, yeah, get over it. It happened 2 years ago at this point, but whatever, the slap. But Bad Boys is Michael Bay's best. It's actually his first. Started off as a commercial director. That famous commercial, the milk commercial, Got Milk, that is him. He used to direct music videos too.
Long live Cobra, the greatest!
Generic laugh. That's dirty. Yeah, I'm telling you, you know what? We're going to lay this to rest. Hold on a second. Hold on a second here. IMDb is essentially my Google. So, Transformers. $1984. Still an 8.0 out of 10 on IMDb. Okay, so Christopher Collins voice Starscream. Hold on. G.I. Joe. I typed in G.I. Ho. Haha. You saw the G.I. Joe PSAs, right? Yo, man, I'm a computer. Stop all the downloading. Oh my god, dude. Hold on. I need to enlighten you. I need to enlighten you this minute. G.I. Joe S.A. Ice, I think, or Lake? Shit! That's what it is, penis pump. Dude! You need... Watch this, like, right now. It's only 35 seconds. I guarantee you this will make your day. G.I. Joe PSA. Nice. My nose is a little... Watch that. It's one of the funniest things I've ever fucking seen. Okay, so. I was right. When I have a feeling, I'm 99% of the time. Christopher Collins voiced Cobra Commander, as well as Starscream. Yep, that's why. I was like, these sound familiar. There you go. There you go. We laid that to rest. All right, let's kill the other Cobra Commander now, shall we? Whoa! I know, right? What the fuck are you doing? Get off my like! There's one with Roadblock. Like, just, dude, look it up. Just on YouTube. Just type in G.I. Joe PSAs. Like, you will instantly spot them. And they've had millions of views. They started off as jokes. There's actually a mini documentary. It's like 45 minutes long or an hour or something. Between 30 minutes and 60 minutes. And it gets into the story behind those and how they exploded. But the other one is, I think it's... Fuck. The one with Roadblock. He's like, body massage. Ooh. Yo, man, I'm a computer. Stop the downloading. It's not over yet. I think we need to shoot the orbs so his shield goes away. Yeah. Ah! You'll see, actually, you have a good point there. You'll see exactly what I mean. Multifaceted boss. We killed the robot. There's the real one. Ah. Do we shoot him or the generator? Damn. on, Scarlett Johansson! Dude, that's awesome how he throws all those grenades out. Something Cobra Commander would do. Damn, the collision is really cheap. Dude, and this is 4 people pelting him. I believe I have this set to the hardest difficulty just because it throws more enemies at you. Like, the Ninja Turtles, I had it set to easy. And, like, I was just beating the shit out of everything. But, I mean, we have full-blown cheats on, so who cares? I bet you there's people in, like, the G.I. Joe community who figured out every pattern and they could go through this game flawlessly. Damn! Those voice clips did not match up. Ah! I think I actually run off to the side. Hold on. Yeah, like, get the fuck out! My frolic ship has been defeated. No! We may have saved the world, but we just destroyed half of Brazil, or wherever the fuck we are. The rainforest has been destroyed, but you saved the world. What are you gonna do now? We're going to Disneyland. The level of range in this soundtrack is excellent, by the way. Lots of good bass. 3 programmers, 3 designers, 2 sound guys, 2 hardware guys, a product designer, and 3 special thanks. That's crazy! And now it just loops. Konami, what the fuck happened to you, man? Dude, we've been at this for an hour and 18 minutes. Holy shit. Well, the conversing helps. The game is not over yet. So the game's just indefinitely looped until you stop, until you ran out of quarters. Murder! In the name of America! And that's it! All right. I think it's time we move on to The Simpsons. So let's do that. Dude, The Simpsons. But remember, 4 players simultaneously. I just gotta make sure all the controls are mapped. Let's see here. Is it under the, or is, yeah, it's under The Simpsons. The Simpsons. Or actually, wait a minute. The Simpsons. Okay. So this should be good. And again, I'll do a sound check with the attract mode just to make sure audio levels are fine. Again, for anybody who watched yesterday's stream, or who watched it via the Twitch VOD section or on YouTube, I apologize because the sound was really low and I didn't realize. Dude, the first time I saw this, you never forget your first. Hold on. Okay. I played this at Danbury Mall back when the arcade there was fucking insane. It was like the size of like a Ray's Ranch, like 2 Ray's Ranches. Like, it was huge. And The Simpsons was there. And I remember I was playing it and people started watching because I was making it really far. And I was laughing my ass off as a kid because it was fucking awesome. I remember playing the up to the waterfall stage. So one thing I really love about MAME is it truly replicates the arcades, because you actually get to watch the boot up sequences if you really want to. So that's what we have here. Like these are all like burn-in diagnostic tests that arcade owners had access to. They could look at stuff, you know, diagnose problems or whatever. It's fascinating stuff. Like, you had to know quite a bit in order to run an arcade or work in an arcade. Or if you didn't know anything, they would teach you. But we always turn scan lines down. Scan lines do not look very good on out. Okay. Chucky Cheese. It could be. Jesus. Oh. Okay, hold on a sec here. I'm going to let this play because this is essentially another part of our show. Dude. Right? That's why I call it Retro and Reminisce, man. It hit me one day. I'm like, Retro and Reminisce, that sounds perfect. Because that's what Retro allows us to do. And as I said yesterday, everybody, even though we all experience the game the same way, we will all have our own story about how we remember this. Yes! No, it was Maggie. You are correct, though. Yes. Yo, man! Yellow! I will say, I'm just going to pause this one more time. The Xbox 360 and PS3 Simpsons game was incredible. I love that game. Embrace nothingness! Alias, the baby. Dude. Alright, so. Game over. Input this machine. So, what? No, it's cool. I know what you meant. Here we go! I might have to remap some buttons here. Dude. And one thing I want to point out, the soundtrack. If I always stream through headphones, when that, I forget the name of that character, but when they go from right to left, you actually hear the dun 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 from right to left. It's very cool. Mr. Burns, of course. Oh shit, okay, we need to remap up. What? Ah, come on, man. Okay, we got, oh, wow. Up, down, left. So we gotta kinda finagle this here. Okay, so it needs to be the other way around. Hold on a second. Okay. We got this. This'll take a minute. But you'll see here, all I do is I just take all of the mappings and I apply them to the same controller. It's genius. It's totally fucking genius. And this just hit me one day. I'm like, wait a minute. What if I've been doing this for like the past year? I'm like, what if I map all the controls to one controller?
Who the hell are you?
Okay, and the last thing we're gonna do here is let's put on infinite energy. So we still have collision. And we're going to turn on auto fire. Hopefully this doesn't break the entire thing. This is what's nice about MAME. All of this is in the front end.
Up and at 'em.
Oh, fuck! So yeah, you could have Marge or Homer pick up Lisa or Bart, and they all interact with each other. It's very cool. And you never really saw that because even though there were a lot of people who played this, it was mostly like 2 or 3 players. You never really saw 4 players play this game at the same time. Where's Lisa? Oh, Lisa's there. Okay, she's all the sprites are overlapping. Hold on. Oh, that's right. You can throw the go kart. You see, that would be cool. But that's a slippery slope. I don't know how I feel about that. Because I heard Shredder's Revenge is good and I need to play it, but I don't know. I'm always going to lean towards the OGs, but that would be interesting. Like more playable characters, right? That'd be cool, but I don't know. They'd have to do it just right in order for it to work. I love how Marge uses her butt. Homer uses fake kung fu. I always used to play as Homer. This is why we have auto fire on. Homer hasn't done anything. Yes! Krusty is the second stage in the amusement park.
Come back here with my kid.
Bonus stage is going to be easy. Watch this.
Ready? Go!
Who's going to come in first? Oh, we all won? I didn't know that was a thing. You would just stand there mashing the buttons? Yeah, dude, the soundtrack in this is so good. This is such a delight. Yeah, the soundtrack is super special in this, dude. And I love all of the, Dr. Marvin Monroe and Otto in the background there. Yeah, you use the sledgehammer on the teacups. And I love how Marge has a vacuum cleaner and uses her hair. No, it's not. It's humor. Yeah, they wouldn't do that today. You can't do that. That's inhumane. Yeah, the bear. Oh, that's for later. That's right. God, fuck this shit, I'm out. I just realized that's foreshadowing. Dude, look at, like, Marge is so bony, her ass is a weapon. Like, seriously, look at that. And especially Bart's freeze frame.
Up and at 'em.
Oh, that's awesome! Dude, that is so cool! Dude, there's something incredibly cool about this boss. Oh, damn! This is the part I remember the most right here. Where they're all falling. I remember laughing my ass off as a kid with this. Discount Cemetery. And what I like is that the enemies were clearly designed for this game, like all the goons, but they fit perfectly. Like, it's kind of seamless, because, like, there's a few enemies in X-Men you question, there's a few enemies in Ninja Turtles you question, but this here, it's all cohesive and it works. It really does. It's that 16-bit DCM sounds that this arcade board used back in the day. But, like, again, this X-Men and the original Ninja Turtles and G.I. Joe used the same style of hardware. You can see they all share, like, the same aesthetic. But yeah, it's that 16-bit PCM soundtrack that, like, us who had a Genesis, like you just mentioned, will immediately recognize. But it's, dude, it sounds great. And it's great because it's full stereo. Like, it sounds great with headphones. I don't even have it turned all the way up. Because I don't want to shout! Oh, that's right. You gotta stand next to each other. Dude! That is so cool! Let me turn the audio back down. I have a little dial here. Oh, that's right, the zombies! Yes! That's one thing that a lot of older arcade games did well, most notably Capcom. I guarantee you Capcom took note of this, but the X-Men versus Street Fighter arcade game and all the fighting Capcom games use the actual voice actors from the cartoon.
Up and at 'em. Up and at 'em.
So if you have characters idle next to each other, that's how you can get them to interact.
Up and at 'em.
I never realized that. That's awesome.
Up and at 'em. Up and at 'em.
Oh. Can we jump off? No. That whistle is awesome.
Up and at 'em. Up and at 'em.
I like how the one guy is smaller and his clothes are larger because of it. Yep, elevator level, obligatory elevator level, city, cemetery. Dude, the charm this game has is like unmatched. Like, yeah, you know, Alien vs. Predator. Alien vs. Predator is the better one. Ninja Turtles is all turtles, all power, all turtle power, but The Simpsons has this charm to it, and it's just really, really cool. Most tavern.
Up and at 'em. Up and at 'em.
Oh, it's the lady from the arcade! And she just came out of the Lincoln Group! You know, now that you say it, the brothers, I guarantee you their inspiration was the Blues Brothers. I never thought of that before. It's the Blues Brothers! That makes sense, because Dan Aykroyd is tall and lanky, and John Belushi, fucking legend, is short. I didn't realize he was there. Oh, Mo answering the phone? Hell yeah. I think Barney, yeah, Barney's there. Hi! Actually, there is a reference here. There is a set of arcade games to the right, and one of them is an Aliens arcade game. That's another classic Konami game. It's not very good, but it's classic. Who wants some of the booty? Dude, the sprite work in this is just so awesome. Yeah, you'll see it. I think it's a Simpsons game and Aliens. Aliens is alright. It's early Konami. Like, they took some creative licenses, or creative liberties with all the designs. As a huge fan, I'm kind of giving it some slack, but it's, oh, dude, totally. Like, all the locales and everything. Even with the areas that aren't necessarily canon, like, it fits. But, you know, I as a huge fan of even Alien 3, I love Alien 3. Especially Alien and Aliens, dude. Konami took a lot of liberties with Aliens, and it's not very good. But as a fan of Aliens, you at least have to experience it well. Hey, it's Bleeding Gums Murphy. That's awesome. Wait, it's coming up. There it is. Dartboard, and then the arcade games will be there after. Come on. Yeah, there it is.
Up and at 'em.
There you go. Marge is Ripley. I never noticed that before. But yeah, The Simpsons 4-player arcade game and Aliens, which was a 2-player arcade game. There was a high and a low button. But dude, Marge is Ripley. That's awesome. I never noticed that. I'm paying attention to the arcade games. I don't even care about what's going on.
Up and at 'em.
Oh, and Maggie's on the TV. Roulette table. I don't think Mo has a license for this.
Up and at 'em.
Dude, that's awesome. I took a screenshot of that. So I think this was just created specifically for the game, but he looks like a Simpsons character. The obligatory burn animation. Yeah. Like I said, man, a lot of the things I would say now that we're on the subject. A lot of things that were written for kids were written by adults. Well, I mean, that's the case, but, like, they wrote it for themselves. The writers wrote the kid-friendly thing for themselves. Like, RoboCop translated great into a cartoon. RoboCop and the Ultra Police was fucking awesome. Jazz. I know, right? Springfield butt. There's the bear. Oh, it's Springfield Gorge, actually. I remember that episode where Bart the Daredevil. It's like season 3. Great episode, by the way. One of my favorites. They went to see a monster truck show, and I forget the name of the Daredevil character. He was essentially Evel Knievel, and Bart wanted to do stunts, and he got so good at jumping with his skateboard, he wanted to jump Springfield Gorge, and Homer tried to talk about him.
Up and at 'em.
Oh, a beehive! I'll go and beat it. We actually have a problem here. I gotta turn turbo off on the controller because I can't jump high enough. Oh, god damn it.
Up and at 'em.
Okay, we're good now. Lisa being on Death Note? That was, that sounds familiar. That's a recent game release, right? Oh, he's doing what Homer does. That's awesome. Oh, it's Nelson. Ah, okay. Yeah, I'm not familiar with that. Oh, it's blinking in the eye, bitch! Sideshow Bob! Lumberjacks! This is awesome! I forgot about all of this! Ah, here we go. It's the bear.
Up and at 'em.
Oh, dude, I remember hearing about that. For the NES. Yeah, Konami did a lot of really good, like, individual, like, NES-centric releases. Contra, even though Contra is nowhere near the quality of the arcade version, I'm so used to the original Contra on NES, Gryzor, actually, in the East, that I hate the arcade version. He wants some emergency. I do not like the arcade version of Contra. It feels really sloppy. Like, the NES version is tightened up nicely. Like, they refined it, but... Like, outside of that example, or that one specific case, like, Konami did a lot of really good NES ports. Oh, dude, I could go through that. I could go through that game practically blindfolded. That's a figure of speech, but I could go through that game without dying. Like, I love that game. I should stream that next. I'll stream it next week. Let me catch my train of thought here. But Konami was known for, like, interesting NES releases, some franchises, but, again, their arcade releases. And when the SNES came out, they did Sunset Riders and Turtles in Time. Those are the two most prolific. And, of course, the Castlevania game. I remember Bucky O'Hare. That was another weird 80s cartoon. It was kind of like Howard the Duck, but Howard the Bunny Rabbit. The AI doesn't know what to do.
Up and at 'em.
Oh, is the guy in a costume? That's kind of weird. I should have left it as the bear. Dude, yes. Yesterday, I forgot about that. After you have the saloon shootouts, the boss, you get the burlesque dance. They wouldn't do that today. That's so cool, dude. Oh, man. And you can see they used some scaling and rotation here. Nope. Yep. Again, Dreamland. Oh, donuts! I think the enemies are actually themed after each character. So we got donuts for Homer. The soundtrack is so good, man. I don't know to say this is funny or creepy. And you can see they tear up when you hit them. That's so cool. Right? They were tripping hard on this shit. Saxophones for Lisa. This level is really annoying in the arcade. Oh, dude, it's... Homer, nuclear... Oh, nuclear power plant. Okay, so that's another Homer one. It's like a Taurus Springfield. So whenever you see them do, like, the leaping forward attack, that's when I'm hitting both buttons at the same time. And then when they're just attacking regularly, I'm just holding down the attack button. So the super move, or the special attack, does 2 points of damage. Regular attack does 1. Ah, cool, double bar. Forgot about all this. Ah, nice. You could actually see Marge has the bunny ears under her hair. That's actually a reference. Oh, the bowling ball! You do have iframes when you do this, by the way.
Up and at 'em.
This is why Turbo is awesome, by the way. That's why I turn it on, so I'm not, like, mashing the button. The only game I don't do this with is Alien vs. Predator. Poor guy. Yep. All I have to do is just hit 5, 6, 7, and 8 keys. That's it. Do you remember the Terminator 2 arcade game? Got him.
Up and at 'em. Up and at 'em.
Dude, T2 the arcade game was a fucking vacuum cleaner that went into your pocket. What's interesting about MAME emulation is any game that had a cursor, like a light gun game, if it's properly emulated, you could use the mouse or your analog stick as your... You can use whatever you want, in all honesty, but I would use the analog stick. But the weird thing about Terminator 2 is it was programmed so because the Uzis, and I'm not talking about the shitty one-up arcade version, the IKEA cabinet. No, talking about the OG like midway release with the Uzis that had the rumble in it, vibrator. You were playing like this, right? You were playing like Weaver stance. The game was designed so that whenever you let off the gun, the cursor would return to the center of the screen because you were always moving the Uzi because it was on a swivel. Try playing that with an analog stick. It sucks because you always have to keep your thumb pressured on the stick in whatever direction you want to move. It's great to play, but dude, even with cheats on, it's fucking hard. There's 2 stages that are impossible, like literally. Even on the easiest difficulty, it's like, what the fuck? The first stage, the first stage is the future battlefield, like the opening of the second film, and then you have the resistance camp, which is akin to the original film, and then you have the chase sequence where you have to protect a truck from hunter killers or HKs that fly by. But the thing is, if the HKs shoot their rockets at the truck takes enough damage and it'll explode, and you have to start the stage again. And the only way you could kill the fucking HKs that fly by randomly is by keeping your cursor up to the left or the right, trying to shoot them as they go by. And then you have the Cyberdyne building where you have to destroy the entire stage. It's awesome. Like, it scrolls left to right. You got the SWAT guys coming after you, and you have to do as much destruction as possible. It's like, again, the lizard part of your brain is tapped in, just destroying everything. And then there's another chase stage where you have to protect the fucking police SWAT van, the SWAT van, I should say, from the T-1000 ramming into it. It's incredibly easy to lose. And then the stage after that is fighting the T-1000 in a steel mill. You have to freeze him in the first part, and then you have to shoot him as he comes towards you so you can blow him into the vat of molten steel. I was streaming that like a year and a half ago, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, even with cheats on, it was like near impossible. Like, it was aggravating. It was not fun. But seeing that game played in the arcade was incredible. Like, the graphical style that game has is fucking awesome. Yeah. T2 the arcade game is awesome, but it's cheap. But it's awesome. But it's cheap. I like how you could see Marge was just drawn to have a patch of grass by her. And there you go. They need to wake up. Who's gonna win? Who's gonna win? They all won! You get a participation trophy and participation trophy. Screenshot. Love it. Dude, they're so cool, man. This game is excellent. That's not Ket Brockman. What's going on? Oh, Mr. Burns is on TV. Missing Maggie Simpson. Mr. Dude, the soundtrack is so good. It's original, but it's totally Simpsons. Obligatory boxes to jump on. Yep. Absolutely. Oh, we're on a set. Oh, I think this is the moon? Yes. Just the way Marge is drawn. Ah, dude, it's awesome. So notice the, can I pause it right? There we go. That's an Easter egg to an original drawing that Matt Groening did. That's supposedly what's really under Marge's hair, but that like was a one-off. I think this is more based off of like season 2 and 3 Simpsons. Like if you watch the original Simpsons on the Tracy Ullman show, which was an HBO joint, they were like squiggly and Homer sounded more nasally. Like there's we're gonna all go for some frosted chocolate milkshakes. I think it was all drawn by Matt Groening, and then they stylized them more to what we know today. But like early Simpsons, this is very reminiscent of like the merging of the old and new style.
Okie dokie. Alright, now play friendly. Okie dokie.
Dude, this is so cool. My milkshake brings all the boys to the yard, and they're like, it's better than yours. I teach you, but it has to be charged. That song is forever catchy. I wouldn't go as far to say iconic, but you hear, I would say, my milkshake brings all the boys to the yard, and they're like, it's better than yours. I teach you, but it has to be charged. It's like, oh god. Terrible song, but it's catchy as fuck. Oh, the ninjas! And I love how the music changes. Depending on what part of the stage we're in. This is awesome. I don't know. I don't think so. Maybe, maybe not. I think they're more like ninjas, like Simpsons ninjas. But I could see the Power Rangers reference there. But it's funny because they're just the same goons. Now they're just dressed up like ninjas. I highly suggest looking up interviews with voice actors who were guests on Conan O'Brien, because Conan O'Brien used to write for The Simpsons. That's when The Simpsons was crazy good. Oh, it is. I did not know that. Huh, I'm learning all this shit today. But look up like Dan Castellaneta. I believe I'm saying his name right, and he's the voice of Homer. He has some really good interviews with Conan, but he goes through all the voices, and then Hank Azaria, who does like Moe and like I think Lenny and one of the cops. Like he's fucking awesome. He actually Dan Castellaneta and Hank Azaria both had light acting gigs. Like if you've seen Couples Retreat, which was but Hank Azaria was the yoga teacher. He's awesome. But Hank Azaria and Dan Castellaneta as guests on Conan O'Brien, like they're great interviews or guest interviews, but they go through the voices, and it's crazy because in your mind's eye, when the voice actor or actress does their thing, like you picture the character in your head, but you're looking at the voice actor. It's transformative and it's fucking awesome. Oh, I think when the boss is like a shogun or something. This is actually a reference. I don't know if it's a reference, but Ninja Turtles, the arcade game for the NES, the conversion, which was decent. Terrible by arcade standards, but for the NES, it was all we had, and it was amazing. A special stage they made just for the NES version was like a samurai stage. And then there was the Frozen stage where you fought the Ice Wolf in the leather jacket. I love how Homer does fake karate. Oh, dude, like, let me tell you something. Even though it hasn't aged all that well, and games that you still play today through whatever means, but you accept the fact that they haven't aged well, but they're still enjoyable. Those were the first of their kind. Like Final Fight, is it really that good? Not necessarily, but remember, there was nothing like it at the time. So of course it was incredible. It's just things got better as technology somewhat laterally shifted in the arcades, and things were, expanded upon. More memory, blah, blah, blah. Better processors, but like Captain Commando and Final Fight, are they necessarily good by today's standards? No, they're enjoyable, but they're not very good. I mean, you play through them once and you're fine. This you could play through. Like, I would say this is more replayable than the original Ninja Turtles arcade game. Its mechanics are more refined, and then Turtles in Time is a little more replayable. And then Alien vs. Predator is just infinitely replayable. Like, that game is like, again, it's a fucking fighting game. But I would say, like, I would pick, if I was to replay something over and over, I would pick Simpsons over Captain Commando. But I still do identify with the fact that Captain Commando is, like, first of its kind, first generation. It set the standard for everything. If it wasn't for Captain Commando or Final Fight, we would not have games like this. You know what I mean?
Up and at 'em.
Marge, Homer, what are you doing? Ah, cool! Explosive barrels, chicken, nunchucks. I will say, though, the soundtrack for Captain Commando, especially Final Fight, is awesome. What's underappreciated is the Punisher. That was incredible. That grew on me. I would say that's along the lines of Alien vs. Predator with its mechanics. Really good.
All right, now play friendly.
Anjum, are you familiar with Mugen? Have you ever heard of that?
Up and at 'em.
How are you?
Oh, that's so cool. They idle. Nah. Easy. Oh, that's right. The power plant is a stage. There's a lot of stages in this. Love it. So we fight Smithers and Burns. Oh, never mind. Okay, I forgot about this. It's been a while.
Welcome to my
Up and
world.
at 'em. Time flies. Time flies.
Dude, this is so cheap. This was designed.
Time flies.
So have you ever heard of Mugen, Anjum? That ring a bell? Sound familiar? Dude. I don't know if I was you I mentioned this too, but I was responsible for Broken Mugen 1.0. It was huge. I was pretty big in the community for a while. But the fact that like this Ninja Turtles super fan, Decat Power, he pretty much took the sprites from Ninja Turtles Turtles in Time, or Turtles in Time the arcade game, and he turned Spreader and Spreader. I am the Spreader. But he turned Super Shredder and Krang into playable characters. And I actually had input in some of his moves. Dude. Oh my god, incredible. And then he did all 4 Turtles separately, based off of all the sprite work from the fighting games, the console releases, and the arcade releases. And it's incredible. Any sprite that was ever made, if you're savvy enough, you could program it into a character and have it fight. It's fight anything. Dude. Incredible.
Time flies.
How do you do it? This is so cheap by design. This is like $5 right here.
and at 'em.
Welcome to your grave, sucker.
Up and at 'em.
Nope, not yet.
When you think you're going.
I love how Smithers could never remember Homer's name. Real, that makes sense. That makes sense. They probably blew their budget.
When you think you're going.
But I think too that this is a good mix of old and new Simpsons. I think, I don't know, like Homer sounded different, Burns sounded different, so I don't know. But the voice I'm hearing from Burns here, look at Marge. Eat it. Ew, no, not Marge, no. But anyway, he sounds like the older Burns, and I don't know if that was Hank Azaria. Not sure. Damn it, Burns!
Up and at 'em.
It's very dynamic. There's not a lot of arcade games that do this. Like, yes, there are technically better games out there. Again, Alien, Predator, Punisher, but there's not a lot of dynamism to it. Like, the way it usually works is you have your stage music, and then you have the boss theme, and then you have the stage over theme, character select theme, intermission, like map theme. But here, this is really cool. And as we're talking about this, as I'm going through it, I'm picking up on a lot of stuff that I never really realized before. Like the dynamic music, I never really paid that much attention to it to realize, oh, this is dynamic. But yes, I mean, I would say like they could probably tighten a few things up, but at its core, this is pure Simpsons fan service. So Mr. Burns having some type of contraption makes sense to me as a final boss. So they just ran with it. There he goes. Aw, too bad Maggie's not a playable character. Oh, she gives Mr. Burns the pacifier. Never. That's why she had the diamond in her pacifier. I forgot about that. Oh, cool. I completely forgot about this. Dude, I'm gonna let this play, man. This is awesome. This is so cool, dude. Oh, Homer, yeah. He forgets, he can never remember his name. This game will forever be timeless, man. This is great. And it all started with me thinking, you know what? I need to do a little variety here. Let me do Ninja Turtles. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. We did both Ninja Turtle games. So let's do X-Men, Sunset Riders, followed by X-Men. And then, you know what? Let's do G.I. Joe, followed by The Simpsons. Like, this is, like, penultimate Konami. Like, when you look at Konami's pedigree, it's not Metal Gear Survive or any of this new bullshit. It's like Metal Gear Solid, Castlevania Symphony of the Night, not pachinko machine. And then you look at, again, the earlier arcade games and their pedigree, excellence. These games will never grow old. You could play these 20... I will probably be playing these in my 60s and 70s, still enjoying the fuck out of them. You don't get that a lot these days anymore. There are a few exceptions out there, but there's nothing quite like this anymore. Nothing quite like this anymore. I would say everything from the early arcade to NES era all the way to, I would say, like PlayStation era, they're all a byproduct of their time. There are a few standouts on Xbox 360, PS3, etc. But these, most notably, any platform with good sprite-based games that are charming, endearing, and timeless, you could play fucking 100 years from now. Like, dude, this relic, wow, The Simpsons came out in, what, 1989? Holy shit, dude, that was like 200 years ago. This is good! Oh my god, this game is awesome! Oh, I'm playing it on my VR headset. I'm in the game. Well, I can't do that. Why can't we do that? Who cares? And again, it's Konami's spin on the Simpsons theme, but you hear this, you're like, dude, this is Simpsons. Thanks for giving us your quarters, kids! Oh! Akka. Whoops. It just loops down. Damn it, Maggie. All right, man. That was a fan-motherfucking-tastic trip down memory lane. I think what we'll do tomorrow is we'll go back to Destiny for some PvP. We'll spend a little bit of time with that. I normally like to do, if I'm to do retro and stick to it specifically, I like to do it on weekends. But since we spent the past 3 days going through 6 classic games, I flipped the script. We'll do Destiny tomorrow. And then on Monday, we'll go for another cherry-picked arcade game. Tuesday, we'll do Destiny because it's weekly reset, so I can get my pinnacles. And then we'll stick down this retro path with Konami in mind. I won't go through all the Symphony tonight. That takes a while. I would rather keep it, like, just tight and focused and, like, just something that you could sit with for a while, you could enjoy for a brief period, and then you're done, instead of something that constantly goes and goes. And dude, it's always a pleasure. It was great reminiscing. Again, as I like to call this, retro and reminisce. There's a reason why I decided to call it that, and I think it fits perfectly. Always a pleasure. Don't be a stranger. Be safe out there, man. I will catch you soon. Thanks for stopping by, and thanks for the awesome reminiscing. Again, retro and reminisce. I'm glad you like, man. Thank you so much. I'll see you later. Enjoy the rest of your Friday. Be safe. See you soon.